Hi, my name's Bronwyn Jane and I'm a psychic medium and a spiritual coach. If you have just come across me for the first time, welcome. If you've come back for more, thank you. My videos are sometimes inspired by what I experience in life, whether it be through readings or even just encounters with whoever I encounter, whatever the experience is. And sometimes they're guided by a nudge by spirit. So this video is a nudge from spirit. They have stepped forward and said that we need a reminder. And the reminder is about the value of a soul. Now, I know that many people that are guided to watch my videos, when I say every soul has a value, they're going to be like, of course it does, Bronwyn. Every soul has the same value. Of course it does, Bronwyn. But I also know that that's not the answer that everyone feels or even would be expressing. Now, I want to remind you that Spirit has really made a big point of saying that the value of a soul is equal for everyone, no matter their life path, no matter the decisions that they have made and the actions that they have taken, no matter their soul contract, so everything that they have agreed to come and do, they are still worth the same. So those people that are here, that are incarnated, that may be making choices that do not impact themselves, others, or society in a positive way, have the same value as those that are doing the opposite, so are impacting society in a positive way. They're the same. They've chosen to come and experience that. And to choose to experience that, the harshness when life isn't working the way you want it to, the harshness of choosing to make choices and decisions and take actions that impact relationships negatively on a soul level, when you consciously choose that, which the soul does on a soul contract in that process, that's hard to choose, to say, I'm going to come and have a tough life. I want to feel what that feels like. I want to learn from that. That takes a lot to do that. So when we encounter either personally those experiences or someone going through those experiences, Spirit wants you to remember that they made a really hard choice to say yes to those experiences, knowing how hard life was going to be. So you have to have a lot of admiration for the souls that chose that, compared to those that chose to come and life may be a little bit more blessed, a little bit easier. That's an easy choice to make. So they wanted us to remember that when we encounter people that, or we experience it ourselves, that it takes a lot to say yes to challenges, to say yes to adversity, particularly if it keeps happening over a long period of time. The other thing that they wanted to remind us of, once again, going back to that every soul has the same value, that in our world at the moment and in history, we have seen that souls that are incarnated struggle to wrap their mind around that. They may judge, treat poorly people based on their sex, their nationality, their belief system, where they're born, where they incarnate in the world. They treat them as if they're not the same value. Now, I know, once again, if you're drawn to me, it's probably not where you sit, but you will have seen it or experienced it. Now, sometimes we see it really simply in society, where we think a particular job, how someone chooses to spend their time or earn their money, is more important than another job. And then because some people link their identity to how they spend most of their time, we can see where the confusion can kick in, where we may think that some people are worth more than others. It's not the case. When you leave this world, you don't jump the head of the cube based on what job you had. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. So we need to remember that when we're going through life. Where do we judge people based on their journey? And remember, it's not our job to judge. You would have heard me say that before. It's just not. So if you once, you may notice this, you could be sitting and watching the news and a story will be presented a particular way, a way in which judgment can be easily applied because you only get part of the story and normally not much of it. If you find yourself slipping into judgment, I'm going to ask you to start noticing when that happens. Because if we can start noticing when we're judging on the little things, we can start to bring in that pause where we can allow ourselves to stop, to disconnect from that judgment, to sit in a more compassionate energy, to understand what may have transpired to get someone to that point, remembering that those souls that chose a harder life, we need to admire them. To do that and to release that judgment, it will actually help your own soul. Because when we can sit more in that energy of, I'm trying to find the correct human word, bear with me, but it's that more sort of balanced energy where we're not stepping into our ego and we're not placing any kind of judgment. And it's hard, I know it's hard. But when we can start being more aware of when we're judging, when we're thinking on that human level that something or someone is worth more than someone else, because we need to start at that point before we can really accept it on a soul level. Because on a soul level, we say we accept it. But if we truly did, we wouldn't be judging it on a human level. We just wouldn't. So if you're judging on a human level on some degree, you can't truly say you accept that every soul is worth the same because you're not living it. You're not applying it to your day-to-day energy. So that's why I say, be really aware of what shows up in your mind and your heart as you encounter experiences and people. When you allow information into your world, be aware of that. Be aware of when you're judging. Because when we judge on the human level, I know that we battle to accept that every soul is the same value. And that's the thing that Spirit really wants you to understand, that every soul has the same value. Not one is more important than the other. Just isn't. And if we can really appreciate that, really, really embed that into us, then when we go through our human experiences, we will go through them differently because we will know that we are all equal. On a soul level, we're all equal. On a human level, because of where we live, maybe that's a little bit harder to actualize, but it's not unobtainable. So I just want you to start thinking about that when it shows up in you, where you have that little bit of judgment, where you may be, applying based on, what people are doing, how how they're living their lives, how they're choosing to spend their time, the decisions they're making. Remember, one, those that choose to incarnate and have challenges, difficult lives, we should have admiration on a soul level that they chose to take that journey, because it is so much harder than a soul that chooses to incarnate and have an easy life. So one, we have admiration for those souls that said yes to that. And second, they want us to remember that we are all the same value. When we leave this life, we are all the same value. Those people that chose that hard journey are just the same as those that had the lesser challenges or the easier life journey. We're still the same value. We just have admiration for those guys that were brave enough to say yes to that type of life. But we are all the same. We all have the same purpose. We come here to learn, grow, shed light. And then we go back. But we all have the same value. So just remember that as you maneuver through your days, your weeks, your months, that we're all worth the same. On a soul level, we are. And then also start having admiration for those people that are having it a little bit harder than others. I'm going to leave it there with you. I'm going to ask you to start considering those concepts. And I thank Spirit for giving us this reminder as well. Have a wonderful day.